How's it going, gang? Welcome back to my channel. Today we are working on the ultimate park in Planet Coaster. Once again, this is part 9 of our series. Now, after the point of me finishing my introduction, we're going to speed through it and kind of time-lapse it, because what we're going to do today is work solely on the scenery of the Pirate Cove. So after this point, I'm going to show off a couple of quick features quickly that I've changed. So for example, one, I made this a little more curved down in here, so it's a little smoother. I added in more smoke effects through here. I added in a bit of a ridge along this side so that from this kind of raft ride you can only see it pass by there. And last but not least, I added in 2 block sections here, 1 and 2, and took out the third one that was up top, because when they're standing still, you'll have a car here and a car here and a car in the station. However, once the ride is actually open and people are regularly going on the ride, this one becomes irrelevant, and one is in the station, one's waiting here, and one's actually doing the ride. So it's perfect, and so I like that. Now, I did add a couple scenery buildings last time, but I do want to make sure that we add in a ton more to really bring this kind of section to life. And also, we've got 2 research projects. Steepest drop, so the Aethon, and smashing the atom. Don't know what that is. Oh, the collider. Okay, that makes sense. So we'll start up 2 more. Got a twist on coaster technology. Okay. We did while I was offline, I guess on the stream channel, I did unlock a couple other rides, and I forget what they were, but there were a couple of. We got the we got the swinging ships, so we'll add that in today. But aside from that, let's get to it. All right. So the first thing I want to mention is that, as you can see, the webcam is what it was live for Twitch, and it's not actually my voice right now. But the first thing that I did when I was building out this pirate section for the scenery is I wanted to make sure that this raft ride had a cool kind of pirate alleyway to kind of go down. So it really, I don't know, put you in the feeling that you were inside some sort of pirate sanctuary. So first of all, I built kind of the waterways, because kind of like a Venice sort of look to it, I guess, but for the most part I think that a pirate town or hideaway would have something similar to this. So I started with that, and then I went on to make some buildings around it. Now, as I did mention that I have changed a couple things, I will probably make some edits here and there afterwards, after the video is done, but for the most part I wanted to make kind of a walkway that I could put, you know, like some buildings down and some pirates, and really bring this area to life. So the other thing I wanted to do is make sure that it didn't just end. I wanted to make it seem like it went into the mountain, and so you didn't really know what was, you know, how big this place actually is. It kind of makes it gives it a bigger feel anyway, that's for sure. So I built some other sort of buildings into the wall there. And so this is just the main focus of right now, but I do go on to add other rides later, and you'll see that in just a second. But I wanted to make sure that, like I said, this section I really want highly detailed, because this is kind of the main focus of this ride. You know, it goes down a bit of a hill, and each section that it kind of enters, I want it to be really different. So the first thing is the hill, and then it goes into a small little cave with water flowing out of it, and then once you come out of that, you come into this kind of pirate town that I'm building. So as you can see, I'm just adding some roofs and giving it a little bit of character, which obviously no customers would see from the ground, but you know, anyone who actually takes this. But I'll probably put this whole park on the Steam community afterwards. So if you guys want to download it and try it out afterwards, by all means, you know, I'm going to keep playing at this and really change up as much of the park scenery themes as I can, just to keep the momentum going with this park. But I had to add some ladders here. But yeah, once you go through this kind of pirate town, you end up going right underneath the entrance to the pirate area, which that's not the only entrance. I will be adding in an entrance over near the big pool of water at the back. I'm going to put the pirate ship in there as well. But yeah, I'm going to put in another path, so then, you know, you can get in from 2 different ways. So as you can see here, I'm just kind of making the walls so those people that are riding on the raft can see that there is no kind of, I didn't just stop at one place. I wanted to make sure I kept going and really build all of this out. But yeah, so once you go through the main kind of walkway into the Pirate Cove, the next thing you'll see is kind of that wooden building that you go inside of. and then you kind of roll down into the forest beside the rocks and like beside the trees and all that. Actually, I'm going to add more rocks over there. I want to really deck out this roller coaster. I just noticed I left a couple of pieces in the air there, so I might have to go back and delete those afterwards. And now I decided to put wood here because I figured as a pirate, I mean it's not very piratey, but as a pirate cove, I would think that they kind of use any material that they possibly can in order to kind of build out this sanctuary. So I found some wood, thought I'd throw that together, make it kind of like a mishmash of different materials. There we go, something like that. Add on those walls. So yeah, and then on the other side, as I was saying, you kind of weave through a bunch of trees, and I'm going to put some more rocks over there afterwards, but you also kind of, there's some explosions of water, and then you kind of go into a canyon-y type thing, and then back into the station. So it really makes this ride have detail all the way around it. So as you can see right now, this area doesn't have any sort of, I don't know, characteristic to it. There's not a lot of scenery or buildings, but I'm hoping after this episode is done, we'll have a real piratey themed area. So we'll just put some of that on. And then the next thing is I don't really know what the next section of the park is going to be. So if you guys have any recommendations, I would love to hear them. I was thinking that the one right beside this, kind of heading towards the back, might be like a castle, medieval, kind of colonial dragon fairy tale kind of place. I don't really know what it's going to be, but I do want to have a castle that's kind of being attacked by the pirates. That way it kind of mixes the themes. And then on the other side of it have, you know, the actual fairy tale stuff. So dragons, and we can maybe make it like a castle with dueling dragons or something really interesting. So that's what I was thinking about doing there. However, if you have any recommendations for the other parks or other kind of areas of the park, I was thinking perhaps, you know, maybe like a sci-fi area, a western area is always cool. For this building, I started putting on these kind of edging, but I don't really know how they're used, so I ended up not going with them just because they look like they're not fully sitting on the building, and I can't seem to get them in right. So rather than make it look stupid, I was like, you know what, I'm just going to get rid of these. So that's what I ended up doing with those. But yeah, I'm curious to look on the workshop and see what kind of themes other people have created. I've seen like a Mario thing where you've got like the little portal tubes and things like that, but I don't know, I need something that has a ton of scenery. I would love them to release scenery packs that are like, I don't know, dinosaurs or prehistoric or something like that. Maybe do like an Egyptian kind of thing. I'm not too sure. But something, definitely something needs to be done. Actually, an Egyptian place could be kind of cool with like a pyramid and stuff. I'm actually thinking that for this park section, for the Pirate Cove, back at the back, I'm going to do like an Aztec kind of Mayan ruin kind of area that we can build a roller coaster into. Maybe put another roller coaster in here, and then after that, I think this section of the park is done. But we'll see. There's always room for more. You know, my other question is, if we were to put a log cabin, or not a log cabin, a log flume into the park somewhere, I'm trying to think what theme would be best. So maybe like either put it in here, but I mean, we've got enough of those kind of raft rides. But maybe putting it in with, I don't know, like a dinosaur theme would have been cool if there were dinosaurs, but perhaps, I don't know. I guess maybe like a western thing with like a little logging kind of trail. I don't know. So I'm finally adding some details to my buildings. Now that's one thing I do want to kind of, I guess, as a disclaimer put out, that I didn't do every building with tons of detail. I still need to add windows and bushes and all that fancy stuff to a bunch of the buildings, but just because I'm focusing on this section, I was like, you know what, I'm going to do it and get it done and put all the things that I need onto it. So as you can see, I'm adding doors in. I'm probably going to come back and add some more like flowers and things like that, but I also wanted to look kind of depressing and I don't know, like kind of run down like pirates who don't really care about the house that they live in. So but I thought maybe adding some of these doors into the wall would look kind of cool. So that's what I did there. I was thinking maybe, yeah, like this is kind of like a storage cellar for the pirates. And then I decided to go kind of around the park and add in some benches. Why not? Because we're going to be opening this section of the park soon. I don't know when, but fairly soon. So just making sure we've got some of that. And then, of course, garbage, trash cans, because people like to litter. People are dirty, gross things. So we'll just add a couple more benches around here. As you can see, that's where kind of the end of the park is. I unlocked 2 things, and as you notice, I unlocked this. So this is where it gets interesting. So it didn't fit exactly where I wanted it, so I decided to move some stuff around and just drop it right in there. That way we can make the path kind of weave right around it, and I can put some trees in. It should be okay. And so I decided to move the merry-go-round over to the other side too, just because if we had both the merry-go-round and the genie kind of twirler thing in here, then nobody would walk around this other way to get to where they wanted to go. So I decided to put both in. That way, people can go either way, go on a ride, and then on top of that, go back to the roller coaster and the boat ride, the river rafting ride. Then I wanted to add in the express pass, because if you don't add enough express pass things in, people won't buy it. And for some reason, it didn't have see how it doesn't have a kind of a fence around it? I wanted to make sure it had a fence around it, so just adding in some trees. Give it a little bit of a little bit of a tropical feel. Give people some shade while they're waiting in line. But again, as you can see, there we go. So I had to change it so that the path would allow for a fence to actually be on the merry-go-round. So that's what I did there. I was going to put some grates around this, but there really isn't any chain link fences. And so I was trying to do the best that I could, but nothing really seemed to fit. And so when it really came down to it, I just thought, you know what, this doesn't look good. Let's get rid of it. And I think I ended up doing a different fence. Oh, and there it is there. And then I started changing the color. Because I wanted to make this kind of stealthy. For somebody who isn't following along this park and seeing what I'm doing, I'm hoping that when they download it, they won't be able to see where the coaster really goes, and they'll get kind of confused by all the different scenery that's available. At least that is the plan. And so I then started putting in these bushes, because I was like, let's make it like kind of overgrown, so it kind of goes into this little hole in the wall. Or hole in the ground, I guess I should say. So add in some stones. Now this is where I start going a little bit crazy. So what I wanted to do is I wanted to make this part of the roller coaster kind of weave through the rock twice, but not be able to see each other. So you have no idea that you're going up over top of the roller coaster and then going back down. So I started by putting in a ton of rocks, and this got kind of expensive. But then after I put these in, I brought up the land, so it actually made it more kind of a hill rather than just a bunch of piles of stone on each other. I also wanted to make sure that it doesn't it's realistic, right? Like I don't want people's feet actually getting too close to the rock. So eventually I actually check it and changed a little bit, but just want to make sure that that's right on point, because that looks a little tight. Now looking back at the video, I'm kind of looking at it and going, yeah, that's a little close there. So as you can see, so I've got one rock going through there, or one ride going through there. And then the other one goes through this. Very, very simple. There we go. Add some of these. Something like that. That way it comes out of the rock. And then again, we're going to bring the land up, so it actually looks like there's something more than just a pile of rocks. There we go. Then it goes up and around the G. loop, 0G loop, I think it's called. Zero gravity loop. Alright, so we've done kind of that rock for now, so we're going to move on to building the path out for this, and I wanted to make sure that each of the rides have a good amount of scenery, because of course, once you go to open it, you want it to have the highest prestige possible. So while I'm mentioning it, when it comes to prestige, like I'm going to be opening this section of the park next episode, I'm hoping, and so the idea is that I want to get all the prestige up and ready. I want to make sure that all the rides in this section are ready to go, and then after that point, it'll be able to kind of launch, and we can open up this section and start moving on to a new section of the park, because we are, as I said, 10 episodes in, which means we're about 9-10 hours into this build. So the next thing that I built was this kind of path. What I wanted was the roller coaster to kind of go right over top of a roof, kind of making it look really kind of almost like a roof riding escape kind of element. So as you can see here, I made sure that that the roller coaster wasn't touching the bottom, but I wanted to make sure that the walls were as close to it as we possibly could. And so make sure that building's up. And we duplicate it so that we can put it on all of these roofs. Now the next one was trying to figure out what type of roof this one took, so I wasn't too sure, so this is kind of what we went with. We kind of had one wall there for now, and then I'll go back to the roof and try and figure it out afterwards, and you'll see that it's kind of a little lower than I had hoped for, but it is what it is. I mean, I'm not going to go back and change the roller coaster too much, just so that we can have a kind of a roof, I don't know, ride. The last thing I want to do is make sure that it's all touching the ground. So put those walls in. Then I realized that it's not actually kind of touching, so I was like, you know what, I'll just add in some. But then we added in those. Forgot that I missed that. There we go. Patch up everything. And there, it's perfect. However, when I go to put in a stall, I realized that there's kind of a staircase up to it, so I didn't like that, so I had to move it down just a bit. And place it in nicely, just like that. And we'll keep it closed for now, because it's going to close anyways. So going back over to this section, I just wanted to jump back here real quick and add some kind of lights to the entrance. So I want to make it kind of romantic but spooky. I think that's really what kind of the tropical pirate theme should be. Is it's kind of eerie because it's a pirate cove. However, it's also kind of romantic because it's like you're in this cave and there's this smoky stuff. It's like misting. You feel yourself going to this really cool place. And then one of the last things I did is add these lovely skulls, because I wanted to make sure that the entranceway, I was trying to judge whether or not I could put the eyes together and whether or not it would look funny, and it did look funny. So I put 3 of them, and I decided to put medium-sized fire effects into each eye, so there's 6 of them in total. That way. Oh yeah, I was also going to test to see if like I could put smoke coming out of one or anything like that, and it wasn't going to work. So we went back to fire, kept it nice and simple, just like that. Then we needed to add to this, and I wanted to not make it so much about the kind of pirate theme, whereas this is more of like a cabin. Just want to make it big enough. And add a tin roof on. I know they probably didn't have tin back then, but at the same time, it's it is a roller coaster park. It's not an actual thing. So if we have to use tin roofs, we have to use tin roofs. So what? I'll add a couple more trees. So I wanted to make sure that this was as kind of thick as brush could possibly be, because I don't want people from the walkway to see the ride. I want them to hear it, but not know where it's coming from or what it is, because when you go to an actual park and you go on one of these rides, typically you only see the guests walking around the park, just for a minute or two at max. And so I wanted to make sure that it was really off on its own. You can see that the one place that you can see them is right off of the very first drop and around the corner. I'll show you that in a later video, but there it is up in the top corner quickly. But just there's kind of a watching fence that you can see. And then aside from that, it's, up over this hill here, or it's behind those rocks or behind the building. And so I wanted to make sure that you really don't see that ride. It's kind of a sneaky ride. So the next thing I did was I wanted to fix this on the roller coaster, and that was that I wanted to first make sure that there was kind of a hole that it comes out of, but also I wanted to make sure that it was a real kind of hidden circle. I don't want people to see this from that ride until it goes over top. That way they have no idea where it's coming from. Lift it up. And so the next thing I wanted to do was get some smoke effect as the roller coaster came out of that. So as it comes through, it hits the tick points and then it captures that. So I wanted to make sure that it was after the ride though, because if it's right during it, then somebody gets blasted with smoke. So that's all fine and dandy. There it is. Quickly goes in, out and around, up over the building, in that circle. And I'm going to do something with that circle in just a minute, but I just want to see if I can add in some actual scenery stuff. So we'll have a bandstand. We'll add in some fountains, some piratey looking fountains. Add maybe like a dock here and some fire stuff. Yeah, that's good. Pirate ship thing. You know what I'll do? Yeah, I'll add that in so you kind of go right through it. It looks kind of nice. Yeah, I got a little creative here trying to add some things in, and I thought, you know what, it's not what I want. Now the last thing I did want to do is I want to make sure that, much like a real park, I don't want people climbing onto the ride as it's going by, so I tried to kind of bridge it off as much as I possibly could. And the last thing that I'm doing right here is I'm building a building, so what I wanted to see is this circle kind of go out and around kind of the top of the building. So I'm kind of making like a bit of a clock tower, I guess you could say, but I was really just trying to fit pieces wherever they possibly could. So as you'll see, I'm kind of going back and forth trying to figure out what height everything can sit at before the roller coaster gets in the way. So that way it keeps it really close and you're just flying over the top of the building. So that was the look that I really wanted to go for with this building. So as you can see, it's like every piece is a little bit of mishmash, but something like that. Fill in the gaps. I also find using the smaller pieces, like the half piece and the quarter piece, really help when you're adding in, because then you can get some really unique sizes rather than just making it straight off with the big one. And then we put in kind of a bell tower here. It's more of like a smokestack rather than a bell tower. And here we go. Alright guys, well I think this is where we're going to end our Let's Play fast forwarded for part 9 of Planet Coaster. This is Myerling Heights, and we've got the pirate themed area looking pretty good right now. I mean, this is just going to be the city area, and then of course we've got the beaches back here to work on at a later date. So thanks for watching, thanks for tuning in. Be sure to subscribe, like this video, and if you have any comments, please share them below. I would love to hear your feedback, and also if you have any feedback for this park, add to it, let me know there as well. Also, if you want to play with me, add me at Myerling on PS4, Xbox One, and on Steam. And of course, follow me on Twitch, because then you can get in on the action right away. Also on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Thanks for watching, guys. Take care, and we'll see you next time.